Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever felt like modern life is just, I don't know, one giant tangled ball of yarn? We're often drowning in overthinking, maybe paralyzed by hesitation and that ever-present fear of judgment, aren't we? It's a
Yeah.
common experience, postponing crucial conversations, burying genuine feelings, delaying those very actions that could actually really simplify our world.
It's fascinating, though. In the collection of insights we're looking at today, there's this concept, our sources call it radical simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea isn't about making life simple. It's more about recognizing that life already is fundamentally simple, but we frequently, almost instinctively choose to complicate it.
Ah, okay, so we are the complication.
In many ways, yes. Today, we're diving into how this deep-seated human tendency often traps us in, emotional and mental clutter.
Right. So our mission for this deep dive is really to pull out those vital nuggets of wisdom and challenge that widespread idea that complexity is just inevitable. We're going to explore some very specific actions that, if you embrace them, can dramatically cut through that perceived complexity, offer a direct path to maybe emotional freedom and some real mental peace.
Sounds good.
So let's jump right in. Something incredibly relatable, but often fraught with, well, unneeded complexity. Missing someone. That familiar pang, right? That longing for a friend, a family member, maybe a past connection. But instead of picking up the phone, what's our default? Scrolling social media, replaying old memories. We tell ourselves, oh, they don't care, or I'd be too much if I reached out.
Yeah.
What does the research say about this hesitation?
Well, this really raises a critical question about what some sources call the erosion of assumed understanding. There's a landmark study mentioned in our materials that looked at relationship longevity, and it reveals something cruelly brutal. A staggering 90% of broken relationships, friendships, family ties, even romantic ones, they don't stay broken because love actively died. No, it's more often due to a passive breakdown, like an insidious process where regular kind of low-stakes communication just stopped.
Wow, so it just fades away.
It fades. Think about the immense psychological weight of funeral regrets, all those words never spoken. Yeah. We often build up what you could call communication debt, believing silence is easier than actually connecting.
Communication debt. That's an interesting phrase. So it's not some big fight, usually, but this sort of gradual neglect that's the real killer.
And often, yes.
But what actually fuels that initial hesitation? If someone genuinely misses another person, why let that debt pile up instead of just calling?
Our sources suggest it's a mix of things. There's the spotlight effect. That's a cognitive bias where we overestimate how much people are noticing us, our actions.
Right. Thinking everyone's watching our every move.
Exactly. We fear being seen as needy or intrusive or just awkward. And this internal story, combined with what some call lung space avoidance, means we just default to inaction. We tell ourselves we're respecting their busy schedule, when really we're just avoiding maybe a tiny bit of potential discomfort.
That makes perfect sense. We imagine the worst case scenario constantly, but think about the irony. The person you miss, they might feel the exact same way, paralyzed by their own fear, their own ego.
Absolutely.
That one simple call you're hesitating to make. Our sources highlight it could potentially bypass years of that built-up communication debt. It could heal a wound, or maybe even offer a lifeline to someone feeling just as isolated.
It's a simple action, yeah, but with this immense, often underestimated potential impact.
Okay, so beyond just a call, let's pivot a bit. Let's talk about building bridges, nurturing connections by actually inviting people to spend time. Friendships often get tangled in these endless guessing games, don't they? Should I ask them? Will they think I'm desperate? Oh, they're probably too busy. Yeah. And we watch days, weeks, months, even years slip by while we're stuck in this loop. All because of that initial hesitation.
It's a very similar dynamic to that communication debt. Our research talks about social inertia.
Social inertia, like things stay still unless pushed?
Precisely. Friendships, like old machines, they don't usually die from some sudden catastrophic failure. They slowly seize up from lack of use, from neglect. And what's really fascinating is the insight that most people you think are too busy, they're often experiencing their own version of the social media paradox.
What's that?
They're just endlessly scrolling on their phones, maybe subconsciously waiting for an invite, waiting for someone else to make the first move.
So everyone's waiting for everyone else.
Pretty much. They're caught in the same hesitation loop. It creates this sort of mutual pluralistic ignorance where everyone assumes nobody else wants to connect, even though they might.
That's such a powerful observation. So what's the real barrier then? Is it actually being busy or is it something deeper?
It often just boils down to activation energy.
Mm-hmm.
The psychological effort needed to start something.
Okay.
Sending that text, making that call, suggesting coffee feels like a bigger hurdle than it really is.
Yeah.
Our sources stress that humans were fundamentally social creatures. Most people genuinely appreciate an invitation, honestly, even if they can't always say yes.
Right.
The fear of rejection often looms much larger than the actual likelihood or the real impact of it. And when it comes to keeping friendships alive, consistent, low-effort initiation is way more effective than waiting for some perfect, grand gesture.
So if we just strip away the overthinking, the choice is pretty clear. The actual risk is incredibly low.
Exactly.
The most they can say is no, maybe not right now. But the best. You could bridge that gap of social inertia, create a real memory, strengthen a bond, a moment of shared joy that otherwise just gets lost to unspoken hopes.
It's just about overcoming that small initial hurdle for potentially huge rewards.
Okay, let's turn to something that causes a huge amount of friction in daily life. Clarity versus conflict. We often walk around expecting partners, friends, family to somehow just know what's going on inside our heads. We bottle things up, make assumptions, and when they don't magically guess our feelings, we often end up silently resenting them for it. Our sources dig into the psychology of this, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. Our sources talk a lot about what psychologists call the fundamental attribution error.
Okay, what's that?
It's a bias where we tend to overemphasize internal reasons for other people's behavior, like assuming they're being malicious or deliberately neglectful.
Oh, right, they did that to me.
Exactly. While we underestimate external factors, situational things, or just a simple lack of information, we interpret their actions through our own internal unspoken stories instead of just asking for clarification. That bias, plus something called the curse of knowledge, where we assume others know what we know well, it fuels a surprising amount of conflict.
So we basically set ourselves up for misunderstanding by expecting mind reading, then we get angry when it doesn't happen and assume bad intent.
Pretty much.
What's the actual cost of that silence in relationships?
The sources highlight a really stark, almost brutal truth. Silence often destroys more relationships than outright lies ever could.
Wow. More than lies.
Yeah, because lies, while damaging, are still a form of communication, right? A statement you can confront. But silence lets resentments fester. It creates this void that we fill with our own negative projections and assumptions. To be truly understood, you need to engage in what our sources call vulnerable explanation.
Vulnerable explanation.
Meaning honestly, directly, and without aggression, just articulating your needs, your feelings. That vulnerability, it feels scary, sure, but it's really the only bridge to genuine connection. It lets others actually see and hear you instead of just guessing.
It feels like that vulnerability is often the key ingredient missing, doesn't it? Choosing to explain rather than just silently stewing. That's a powerful shift.
It is.
Now, let's explore the path to wisdom. Curiosity, it's fundamental for learning, for understanding, but so often, fear or maybe ego just shuts us down. We avoid asking questions because we don't want to look stupid or seem ignorant. What does the research say about this paradox?
Well, what's fascinating is precisely that paradox. The people who genuinely ask questions often end up looking smarter. They're perceived as more competent than those who just pretend they know everything.
Really?
Yeah. Our sources recount multiple examples, even in big companies, where leaders who openly said, "Look, I don't get this, can someone explain it simply?" actually fostered a culture of innovation and learning, not fear. Think about it in your own life. How many mistakes, heartbreaks, missed opportunities happened just because you didn't ask a crucial question? Like, does this job have real growth paths? Or simply, what exactly do you mean by that promise? We create our own problems through assumptions we never check.
So this isn't just about personal growth, it's also about avoiding real, costly errors. What's the ultimate fallout from this reluctance to ask?
It leads directly to what our sources term assumption blindness.
Assumption blindness.
Yeah, we just drown in assumptions. And as one source profoundly puts it, assumptions are truly the mother of most regrets. Not asking, whether it's out of pride or fear, can lock you into confirmation bias, where you only look for info that confirms what you already think, even if it's wrong.
Right.
So asking questions isn't weakness, it's intellectual courage. It's challenging your own biases. It's the path to avoiding a lot of unnecessary pain and missed chances.
Assumption blindness, that's a really striking term for something so common.
It is.
Okay, next up, a powerful call to action. Don't like something, fix it. Let's be honest, complaining has almost become like humanity's favorite pastime.
Chuckles a bit, yeah.
We moan about our jobs, relationships, health, the government. But how often do we actually do something to fix it? We just seem to cycle through the same frustrations, often feeling like victims.
Well, if we connect this to the broader psychology, our sources talk about the concept of locus of control.
Internal versus external.
Exactly. Many people operate with an external locus of control, believing outside factors dictate their life, which naturally leads to more complaining and less action. And here's a really sobering insight. The average human spends, get this, 5 years of their life complaining.
5 years.
5 years. And only about 2 years actively trying to fix things. That's a massive imbalance in how we spend our energy. It's a kind of learned helplessness where people start believing their actions will make a difference even when they could.
5 years complaining versus 2 years fixing. That really forces you to rethink how you spend your energy, doesn't it?
It should.
What's the way out of that cycle then?
The pathway, according to the research, is a conscious shift to an internal locus of control, recognizing your own agency. If you don't like your job, start actively looking for another one. Don't like your fitness level, start a consistent exercise routine, even small steps. Dislike something in a relationship, address it directly, or really consider if it's serving you anymore. The reality is, life's just too short to waste in passive dissatisfaction. Change is hard, sure. It requires commitment and effort.
Definitely.
But the regret for what you didn't do, the opportunities you didn't take, that's often far harder and lasts much, much longer.
It really underlines that need for a proactive stance, taking ownership.
Yes.
Okay, this next point really hits home for anyone who's ever hesitated to just brighten someone's day. Spreading positivity. Why do we bite our tongue instead of offering a simple compliment? Or just spreading a little kindness? We often assume, oh, they already know how great they are or how much we appreciate something they did.
What's fascinating here is the profound psychological impact of specific, genuine praise. Our sources show that a single, well-timed compliment can actually interrupt someone's negative thought spiral, boost their self-esteem, maybe change their whole day, sometimes even their outlook. It's a powerful form of what's called social validation. It can pull someone back from feeling invisible or worthless. Our brains are literally wired to respond to positive reinforcement. So withholding it means we're missing countless chances to build connection and well-being.
So we're not just being nice, we're actually missing out on a powerful tool for human connection, maybe even societal uplift.
Absolutely.
But what if they don't know how much you appreciate them? What if your words are the exact fuel they desperately need to keep going, to feel seen, to feel valued?
Exactly that. Our sources argue that benevolent silence, just withholding positive observations, can be as detrimental to joy and connection as outright cruelty sometimes.
Benevolent silence. That's interesting.
Yeah, we often operate under a false consensus effect, assuming our positive thoughts are somehow just understood. But just like asking questions, expressing appreciation takes that tiny bit of activation energy. Your positive observations are like gifts, and consciously withholding them denies someone a moment of light, maybe crucial feedback, or just a dose of encouragement they might really need.
That's a powerful and probably often overlooked point. Benevolent silence. Okay, let's unpack this next one because it's such a bedrock principle, but maybe forgotten in our world today. Want something. Work for it. This really hits hard in our age of instant gratification, doesn't it?
It does.
We crave success, money, love, respect, often without wanting to put in the matching effort. We scroll through motivational videos for hours, but rarely take that actual consistent action.
This raises a really important question about the nature of achievement and the psychology of perseverance. Our sources strongly challenge the pervasive myth of instant success. They argue that nothing truly valuable in life just falls into your lap.
Right.
They highlight the concept of grit, defined as passion and sustained persistence towards long-term goals. If you want something badly enough, you need to cultivate that grit. You need to sweat for it, sacrifice for it, sometimes endure significant setbacks. The neuroscience even shows that delayed gratification, earning reward through sustained effort, literally rewires the brain for greater resilience and satisfaction.
It's such a stark contrast to the narratives we often see today, isn't it? The idea that effort is just a non-negotiable part of the deal.
It really is.
What does the research say about those who don't embrace this, who just stop at wanting?
Well, the truly shocking truth, according to our sources, is that most people don't actually fail because they tried and lost.
Oh.
They fail because they never really tried at all. They stop at the wanting stage. They get paralyzed by how hard the work looks or by that pervasive fear of failure. Instead of just embracing the journey, the small steps, the inevitable bumps in the road, that inaction, not the failed attempt, is the real barrier. It leads to what some sources call opportunity cost regret, the regret over chances not taken.
That's a really sobering thought, the failure of inaction itself.
It is indeed.
And finally, maybe the most poignant point of all, and one that resonates so deeply: love someone. Tell them. The cruelest heartbreaks often aren't where love ends, but where it was never fully expressed, never spoken, never shared with the person who needed to hear it. This seems like a huge source of future regret.
Oh, it absolutely is. What's fascinating here is the distinction our sources make between anticipatory regret, the fear beforehand, and actual regret later on. People often avoid expressing love because they fear rejection beforehand. That's the anticipatory part.
Right, the what if they say no?
Exactly. But the data consistently shows that people regret not expressing love far more deeply, far more persistently than they regret expressing it and getting rejected.
Really? That's interesting.
Yeah. Rejection, it stings for a while, sure. It's a temporary pain, a finite experience. But silence allows the what if to haunt you forever. It leaves this permanent question mark in your heart. It's a form of psychological non-closure.
That psychological non-closure sounds absolutely agonizing.
It can be.
So the short-term discomfort of maybe being vulnerable pales in comparison to the potential long-term pain of regret.
Precisely. Our sources paint this picture of countless lives marked by this kind of unspoken tragedy. How many people literally go to their graves with love still trapped inside them?
Oh, wow.
Unspoken, unheard. That reservoir of unexpressed affection, unshared appreciation, it's just this deep well of regret that could have been avoided with a few simple, honest words. It's the ultimate self-complication through doing nothing.
Okay, let's try and unpack this, connect all these dots now. All these points we've explored today, from just calling someone you miss to explicitly saying, I love you. They seem to boil down to one core truth, don't they? We fundamentally complicate life with our own fears, our ego, our hesitation, and all those cognitive biases that fuel them. We build these invisible walls of overthinking that keep us from the very things that would bring us peace, connection, fulfillment.
And if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's just such a stark reminder that life is inherently short. It's fragile. It's utterly unpredictable. People disappear suddenly, opportunities vanish, and time, that most precious resource, it never comes back.
Right.
We postpone action, we put things off till tomorrow, and way too often we wake up one day and realize we waited too long. Our sources emphasize temporal discounting. That's our tendency to value immediate rewards, like avoiding discomfort now over future ones, like deep connection later, even if those future rewards are vastly more significant.
We trade long-term happiness for short-term ease.
We do. It's a universal human truth we constantly try to ignore until maybe it's too late.
And our sources present a truly sobering final thought, one that really puts everything into perspective. Think about this. Every single day, on average, 150,000 people die worldwide.
It's a huge number.
A huge number. And many of them probably went to sleep the night before thinking, I'll do that tomorrow. And for them, tomorrow just never came. That's a profound call to action, isn't it?
It truly is.
Yeah.
And it raises this urgent question. Why? Why complicate your precious finite life with games, with silence, with fear, with overthinking every single little action? Why waste energy creating problems that don't actually exist when the solutions are often right there, right in front of you, accessible through simple, direct, sometimes vulnerable action? Life isn't really about deciphering complex equations. It's about acting.
So what does all this mean for you listening right now? The simple truth seems to be that the power to uncomplicate your life lies not in grand gestures, but in direct, often small actions. Call, invite, explain, ask, fix, state, work, tell. These aren't just nice suggestions. They feel more like actionable blueprints for a life that's less tangled and significantly more fulfilling.
The deep dive today really does hammer home that profound simplicity, doesn't it? That elegance of just taking direct action. So as you go about your day, maybe consider this. What is one single small action based on everything we've discussed that you've been delaying? Something that if you just did it today, right now, would bring a little more peace or connection, clarity, maybe progress into your life. That's your starting point. Just one thing.
That's a powerful challenge for all of us. Until next time, keep driving deep and remember to try and keep life simple.